When we talk about outcome-based legislation or outcome-based regulation, we're talking about rules that focus on the outcome to be achieved rather than the specific way in which that's meant to be achieved. The advantage of it is, of course, is that it allows the person who's affected by the regulation to largely define their own ways and means of achieving the outcome that the regulation is designed to conduce to. It creates a lot of freedom. It's economically more advantageous, administratively easier, and oftentimes even results in a better safety outcome. I think it's fair to say, though, that like any situation that enhances freedom, it brings with it certain responsibilities, so that in the absence of a prescriptive requirement that tells you exactly what to do and how to do it, it's incumbent upon you to actually develop a means that effectively brings you to the desired outcome. But you've got to put the hard yards in there to get that result. And you've got to be able to show CASA that I intend to achieve this outcome by doing this, 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 and this, and to be able to demonstrate that by doing these things, I do actually get that safety outcome. Actually, much of our legislation and many of our regulations are outcome-based in that they say the objective to be achieved is what's focused on rather than the ways and means of doing it. So for example, we have a provision in the UAS or the RPAS legislation now that says a person must not operate an unmanned aerial vehicle in such a way as to cause a hazard to people on the ground or other airspace users. It doesn't specifically say how or what you should do, just that the result you're trying to achieve is to avoid creating a hazard. But we have other legislation in the same areas, it happens, that says you must not operate a UAV over 400 feet within 3 nautical miles of an aerodrome. That's quite prescriptive. When you see numbers in regulations, you know that's fairly prescriptive. So those are two different kinds of regulations attempting to do similar things in different circumstances. And any good regulatory system is not all outcome-based or all prescriptive, but a healthy balance. There are certain kinds of activities that are far better regulated in an outcome-based way.
There's a number of benefits to that. Firstly, we are in an evolving environment. Technology is certainly on the increase. If we have too prescriptive a rule set, it makes it difficult for a regulator to stay up to date or for the regulatory framework to stay up to date. The benefit is that the operator knows how to manage their risk. It allows them flexibility to build a business model to achieve or to deliver what they want to achieve, and it gives them the responsibility to build a process, to build a system, to build procedures that effectively manage their safety risks and deliver the outcome that the regulation requires. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all. The benefit of performance-based regulation is that it doesn't matter the size of the operator, the complexity of what they do, or the simplicity. They can build their system to deliver the outcome that the regulation requires.
And it seems, at least in the first instance, very attractive to say, well, you can do pretty much what you like, as long as what you like is calculated and can demonstrably achieve what it is the regulation is going for. And that takes a little bit of time and effort and energy. So there's quite an investment, or there can be quite an investment, in achieving a meaningful outcome. But it can sometimes lead to someone saying, look, why don't you just tell me what it is you want me to do? But actually, in most cases where we have an outcome-based requirement, we have guidance material and advisory material and acceptable means of compliance and a range of approaches that have already been developed, that if you don't want to come up with your own approach, here's one you can use. So in many cases, you have the option of adopting an existing approach or modifying an existing approach or coming up with something completely new.
Outcome-based regulation is very much built on that process of trust and making sure that an operator understands that they are responsible for the delivery of safe outcomes.
You know, when we write a regulation, it takes some time for it to actually be implemented, and then we want it to be in for a long period of time. So we don't need to keep changing the regulations in 5 or 10 or 20 years. Hopefully they'll be consistent enough that only minor amendments are made into the future, but they will still work for industry, they'll still work for CASA, they'll still achieve a safe outcome.
No operator wants to increase the number of risks they have to face, so they're in the best position oftentimes, to develop very effective, creative, economical responses to the risks they face. Why shouldn't that be the basis on which they're regulated? It's building trust in the entire aviation community, because in addition to the industry and CASA needing to have a relationship that's based on trust with a bit of verification involved in that, all of those who rely on the industry and CASA to help to ensure that the safety of that environment are looking to us both for the same thing. So we're all in this together.